So after kind of deciding the other day that we were going to head off soon to the Azores, we are going to go and do our provisioning today, aren't we, Ben?
Yeah.
What are you doing in there today, Ben?
I'm putting the extension on the alarm. Trying to decide whether that wake you up or not. I wish it was twice as loud.
So, explain what this is.
I'll just turn it off. It is a man overboard alarm that you can trigger via the AIS beacon that we have on life jackets.
Mm-hmm.
It is also the alarm that will sound if there's a collision imminent on for AIS equipped vessels. So basically, It's an AIS alarm.
Yep. But we're thinking that sounds loud now, but then when you're at sea and you've got the noise of the water and the wind and maybe even the engine on, will it wake us up? So it's meant to wake the other person up who's obviously not on watch or who hasn't gone overboard. If that happens.
That'll definitely wake me up.
Yeah.
If I'm a light sleeper, you're not.
Well, only when I've got earplugs. I'm not going to use earplugs this trip.
Yeah, and when I'm super tired, it's the same, and we will be this trip.
Mm. I mean, it's better than not having it.
It is better than not having it. My other plan is, I think I've figured out a way to use, because we'll trail that line, the floating yellow line, with some knots and hoops in it at the end. I mean, I know hanging on to it at 6 knots is really difficult, but the idea being that it will be rigged in a way with a breakaway, so when you put your load of your body in the water, it'll break the line away, and that line will then pull the hydrovane rudder fully to one side, which hopefully should either slow the boat or make it round up into the wind.
Yeah.
So if you're in the water, the main thing is to get to the back, grab hold of that rope and pull it before you start activating other alarms and stuff. If you can bring the boat to a stop from being in the water, I think that's by far the best thing, because the noise of the boat changing direction and the change in motion as it probably comes broadside to the seas will certainly wake the person up. Then the alarm will go off. Yeah, I suppose the idea is having as many safety things in place as possible.
Obviously, you try and not go overboard at all.
No, I mean the aim is always to never ever go overboard.
Yeah, we're always going to be clipped on, but
but this is like worst case scenario.
Yeah, you're best to be prepared or be over prepared even.
Yeah.
So I am getting on with packing the grab bags. So we've got the normal selection of stuff really. So hoodies, a hoodie each. Some high energy food, so nuts, tinned food with ring pulls, energy bars, that sort of thing. We've also got these things called survival tabs. They are pretty good. It's 240 calories per serving size. You take 12 tablets a day, and they provide you with absolutely everything you need: proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and all the 15 essential vitamins and minerals to basically keep you alive in a survival situation. So they're pretty useful to have. They should keep one person alive for 15 days, and you can stretch that out to 30 days. So, and then we've got a fishing kit, various different flares, survival blanket things, knife. That's not meant to be in there. Knife and sun cream, a signalling mirror, line, it's really, really strong line, duct tape, which is pretty useful for anything. Phone, an old phone with a spare battery.
But that phone's loaded up with navionics for all the places we're going.
Yeah. And then we're also going to take the solar charger, which is really useful. Wind up torch, pencil and paper, and toothbrush and toothpaste, which sounds silly, but it's well talked about for kind of, well, either plotting your position, we should put the sextant in here as well maybe,
Yeah.
or just jotting stuff down, keeping you sane, and the toothpaste is mainly for sort of morale boosting, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you imagine not brushing your teeth for like 2 weeks, you'd just be like, you'd feel so good if you did it. And then things like random stuff we've had on the boat which might be useful in a survival situation, like, I don't know, webbing and things with clips on, bin liners, and then all the medical stuff like painkillers, antiseptic, sterile dressings, bandages, seasickness stuff, water purification stuff, rehydration things, and that's about it really. So that's what, I mean, it's general grab bag stuff. It's what pretty much most people on doing an offshore passage will put it in. So I'm going to pack all that now, and then that'll all go into this waterproof grab bag. So stick it all in there, roll the top down, and we'll keep that probably in one of the cockpit lockers. And the idea is that if you have to abandon ship, one person will be in charge of getting that and the water, and then on top of that we'll grab the handheld radio, the EPIRB, logbook and passports if you get time, the sat phone, the handheld compass, and the other person will be deploying their life raft. It depends how much time you have if you have to abandon ship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of our drill anyway. And if we get time, we'd chuck the dinghy over as well on a line. So, but yeah, it's best to be over prepared rather than unprepared and then regret it and die. One, 2, 350.
So we've had a productive morning. We've been, what did we do first?
We ran the sails up.
Oh yeah, we put the second head sail up, so we've got the twin head sails ready to go. Rigged all the stuff for that, and then had a bit of a tidy up on deck. Put in 1 keg load of, or 2 keg loads of old diesel that had been in the deck kegs for quite some time, so just ran that in through the filter into one of the tanks, and it looked fine. It was really clean, so that's all right. But then we've just taken the dock up there and taken on all our water, all our fuel, and now it really feels like we're kind of ready to go, which is great.
Yeah.
Sort of just sat poised.
Yeah, it's nice because tomorrow and Friday I think it's going to be blowing quite hard, so it's much better to take the dock today when it's lovely and calm.
Definitely, yeah. That was the weather advisory on the warning on the radio whilst we were on the dock. So
oh, right.
I think it's going to blow 40.
Yeah. So if we had to leave now, I mean we've just got to go and get our fresh provisions, and then we're absolutely ready to go. Really.
Your one last trip to West Marine.
There's always one last trip to West Marine.
Yeah, just wanting to say, in terms of quantities, we reckon we've probably taken on, what, 700 litres of water? Yeah,
about that, and then we're going to go with two 20 litre kegs as well.
Oh so. Yeah, and then 40 litres on deck, which is our kind of grab amount to take in the life raft.
And we have provisioned with loads of bottled water as well, but that's a backup in case the tanks get contaminated with seawater or something. Or
yeah, we have 2 tanks as well on this boat. We have a main tank of 500 litres plus, I think you just get about 550 in it, and then a back tank of about 200. So the chances of both getting contaminated at the same time are pretty slim.
Unlikely, but you know.
But then anyway, we've got a backup on top of that, and then diesel. It's about 300. I think it's about 300 and something a side, 300 litres each side in the main tanks, and then I've got 4 kegs, 2 small ones and 2 large ones. So yeah, we've got about 700 litres of diesel as well. Mm-hmm. So we haven't quite got enough diesel to motor the entire way.
We'd rather not do that. No, anyway. We are a sailboat.
Well, I mean, if the mast came down or something. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, we feel prepared, I suppose.
Yeah. So this is based on leaving tomorrow, which is our departure.
Yeah. So the arc, that's the rum line, that's the shortest distance between the 2 points, showing the curvature of the Earth. And then all bar one, in fact even that one, is going to be using the Gulf Stream. Should we run the wind forecast?
Yeah. So that's we leave on Saturday. So it's like
This
15 to 20.
is quite a lot of wind on the beam. It's probably going to be quite uncomfortable because the swell will be on the beam as well until we get to the Gulf Stream and turn with it. That is looking really good.
Mm-hmm. But
Wind, hold, ebb. But
yeah, it
whether,
doesn't last very long.
whether that's actually what's
actually.
going to happen. Got no option
Yes,
but to
it's all
motor.
against you.
But at this point we'll be deciding, you know, the weather will be...
That's all against us.
Yeah. Okay, well,
That's
But
like
it's-
10 to 15 knots against us, which
we'll just have to see how to play it.
it might change by the time we actually get there. That's
Yeah.
quite far out. That's like a week and a half in.
Yeah, that's so far ahead of now that it's just really, I think there's only accuracy up to about here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're basically trying to make the best of the current going in your direction. So if you hit the centre of that, you've got 4.4 knots going where we want to go. Obviously you'd want to avoid even areas like that or like that where it's 2 knots against you would really slow you down, but generally the flow is going the right way.
So we're just doing the final weather check this morning. It's the day of our departure. All looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good to go.
And we've also got this guy called Chris, who is a forecaster, who does departure spotting and passage weather, doesn't he, for boats?
Yeah, his name's Chris Parker. If you Google him, he'll come up.
Yeah. So his email says, mild west-southwest wind early Saturday 15th as high pressure area passes south of you, but rebuilding rapidly from southwest Saturday afternoon ahead of frontal trough. Front passes with a few squalls Sunday 16th night into Monday 17th morning, and also veers wind west with moderation. Then wind behind front weakens rapidly. Windless high passes quickly Tuesday 18th, then southwest to west-southwest winds rebuild Wednesday 19th. Small gale force low develops near 38 north, 66 west, Wednesday 19th night along frontal trough, and you really want to lie well south of this, probably in the waters east of Bermuda.
Bloody hell, right, that's a long way south.
Another larger gale force low tracks through northwest Atlantic Saturday 22nd, Saturday 23rd, and you probably want to remain between 38 north to 36 north as you work your way east.
Right, okay, that's way south.
You may need to monitor for additional low pressure systems to develop along frontal trough between Bermuda and Azores into the week of Monday 24th. Suggest you request another forecast no later than Tuesday 18th, so we ensure you are far enough south for the rest of the week. That's quite important.
Yeah, he's really pushing this thing that he's expecting there to be a big-ish low that's going to generate quite strong winds and big seas somewhere to the north, but he's saying it's going to be far enough south that we need to be really far south, because I mean I was going to sail, you know, somewhere just south of latitude 40 once we come out of the Gulf Stream, so come back up, but he's saying stay south and keep going south, so we were approaching the Azores from the sort of southwest rather than the west. But that's a long way off, we just need to get going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's 14 days as you and me.
Yay!
Try not to argue too much.
We never argue.
once I've got this weather down, I think it's fine for us to bear away a little bit. There's no point in just holding hard on the wind like this when we don't need to.
Yeah.
I mean, we do need to get south, but not like that badly. We can. I don't think it's going to blow much more than this. If it was, then I would wait before I gave that away. But I think, I don't know. What do you reckon?
No, I think this is it for a bit, isn't it? Half the night, then it's going to come back down to what it was when we left.
Yeah, I mean it's doing the sort of 20, 25 and above bit, and hopefully it's going to drop. And if we need to go further south, then we can do that when it drops.
How's the new chair working out?
Love my chair. A lot of effort to stitch it by hand because the sewing machine broke down, but I'm really glad of it now.
And you can stick a pillow down the side and just sort of nap on watch. Set an alarm. Nice.
A little bit bumpy down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Look at that. Sausage casserole, veg and mash.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm glad I cooked this. I mean, it is quite rolly down there, but I'm glad I cooked it tonight. And then if tomorrow's going to be worse, we've already got a pasta sauce made. It's really hot.
Hot
down there.
So it's the morning of the second day, so we've done about 28 hours. I did our calculation for the first 24 hours and we did 141 miles over ground, and then probably only about 70 miles in the right direction, because at the moment we're sailing southeast and really we want to go almost due east, but this is to, one, sort of pick up some assistance from the Gulf Stream, and two, stay to the south of any low pressures that pass to the north of us. To do that, we're having to beat almost. This is roughly sort of 15 to 20 knots of wind, and I guess it's probably, well, our apparent wind is at 60 degrees to the boat, so we're heeled over. I'm really glad I got my chair, because it's like it totally revolutionised sailing this boat. It's just having a comfy place. If you get out of the chair, it's really hard to do anything. As soon as you sit down, you can drink your coffee and chill out. It's really nice. What's on the menu today?
Curry, red lentil curry. I can get actually to cook it.
She's trying to do this in pretty rolly. You've got seeds on the beam.
I might just stay here. It's probably the most comfortable place in the boat.
So this is our position here, a little white dot with a boat on it. The predict wind models are saying to go this far south and then start turning north again, but Chris, the weather guy, is saying that he's actually saying to sail here down to the waters east of Bermuda which is a massive detour. It must be over 300 miles, maybe 400 miles further. This is what he's worried about, I think, is that area, and that's why my weather forecast runs out. But he's saying to go and hide somewhere down here rather than expose yourselves to winds of gusts of 40 knots. He hasn't said as much. He's given no reason whatsoever as to why we need to be south. He's just said you must get as far south as you can. And I only just recently plotted his last position, which is this one here. I'm sort of more inclined to aim for an area here. At least it's less of a detour. But I know what he means is if you're the further south you are, the more you can turn with the weather. And to be honest, 40 knots downwind is not too bad, but 40 knots on the beam is horrendous. So anyway, that's the situation at the minute. There is another good reason why I don't want to end up in that area down there, and I'll show you that in a minute. So this is the North Atlantic chart. At the moment we are sailing from here towards this mark here, and with the intention of eventually ending up over here in the Azores. My plan was to sail down to the Gulf Stream, which is, you can see marked roughly there, and then sail round just south of latitude 40. But Chris, the weather guy, Chris Parker, is telling us to go all the way to this little dot here. The other reason why I think it's a bad idea is because I've read in a couple of places now about this, what they call corner seamount, which is a sort of a weird volcano shallow spot that's uncharted. There's some evidence or stories of yachts being seen smashed up on the seabed through the water. It's only way less than 5 meters deep, and if we're here, it's going to be smack. That area is going to be right on our course, which I'd really rather not. So I don't want to go that far south. We're just going to have to see how things pan out.
End of day 2, and how are you feeling?
Yeah, all right. I'll be glad when we've got the wind behind the beam.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's going to happen sometime this evening, maybe early morning, but the forecast is for it to also build, so it'd be nice if it changes a bit more behind us before it builds up, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a gusty night, I think.
Yeah, potential for sort of schooly thunderstorms.
Woohoo! Love it.
So you're going to do the shift till?
I'm going to do until 9 and then go to bed. So it's 6:30ish now. So you'll be doing 9 to 12, I'll be doing 12 to 3, and then you do 3 to 6.
Yeah. And we'll be on to day 3. We're getting a bit bumpy.
Yeah, she's riding those waves. Getting big.
It is getting big. Nikki just had quite a bad fall.
Well, I was trying to turn the tripod light on, and I felt the wave come, but I couldn't grab the handle in time, so I just flew backwards straight away. And I think it's quite fortunate I've got quite a big bum, and it took quite a lot of the force on the table, but then my head went backwards and smashed into the hard bit of the back of the chair behind, and it just gave me an instant headache, and my neck's a bit sore.
I think tomorrow that's really going to hurt.
Yeah.
It's pretty gnarly. It's like being out in the bloody washing machine now. As well as really disorganised, steep, very steep, and we've got one line as well coming from the side and one coming from more further forward in about sort of 25 knots. At the moment we can't give away any more on our course, so we're just hanging on in there. Reduced sail. I've got one reef in. I'm thinking about taking a second. They'll scrap a jib out and the mizzen, but the main and the mizzen have both eased a long way.
to say, so far so brutal, really. Fucking tough night. So we made our entrance into the Gulf Stream in the middle of the night last night in 30-40 knots of wind. We've had this problem where the stream flows quite to the north, which in one way is good because it was actually going with the wind, so we didn't have a wind against tide situation. God help us if that, can't imagine how bad that would have been. But it has meant that instead of us, if you look at it with a true wind and our sailing and our course, you would expect us to be able to have sailed at a broad reach or even broader with the wind direction. But because the current has set the boat off, we've basically been on a coast reach all the way, which has meant it just like extremely wet trip. Everything's covered in salt, including the camera. Nikki's tucked away in the back. She can't come out because every time she opens a hatch, a wave comes down. So yeah, just waiting for this to sort of die out. Really, I think it's forecast to peter out quite quickly by midday. It's like 6 in the morning now. But yeah, then we need to get our shit back together because there's another low coming, and then one more after that. It's a pretty bad situation to be in, only 2 days into effectively, well, what we thought was going to be a 12-day trip. Looks like it'll be a lot longer than that now. How are you faring in the back?
The state of me. Sweating, like the floor is just completely slick with seawater. Where it came through the bathroom hatch and the bedroom hatch it pulled down. We hadn't clicked it shut. It all just happened a bit fast and it didn't get done. And just moving around in there, you just can't do it. It's
like being in the washing machine.
It's completely, and I'm like out of breath just from going from there to here, and it's so hot, and it's just like the washing machine's crazy.
It is. We're getting hit by some pretty big waves every sort of, I don't know, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, what's the forecast saying? Is it?
Well, I think by lunchtime it's all calming down. So we've got like another
5 or 6 hours.
4 or 5 hours, I think. But,
Worse than it was forecast, wasn't it?
very, very, very much worse than forecast.
It's supposed to be gusting 33 at the worst.
Yeah, and it's been
Gusting 50.
a solid 33 at one point.
We think our wind instruments underread anyway, don't we?
They do, definitely. I mean, I think if we're in another boat, we'll be seeing 45s all the time.